And we are back. So pick this up from my local micro center. Never heard of this brand, but it was the only one that seemed like it could do the job. Has all these different attachments. Honestly, it was really hard to find anything that was specifically this width with that large of a hole in the center. There's multiple factors going on here. So this is a female only. There's no pin inside. So I had to find one that matched. Specifically, in this case, it is this blue one here. This blue one fits perfectly. Now, on the back, we actually get some more information, and I think this will be helpful for anybody else that has to do a PSU replacement. So this deep blue here is an M5 connector. So this hole is a standard M5, apparently. And M5, here's the voltages, which line up with what's on, on their website, on IceRiver's website. But specifically, it is a 5.5 by 2.5 by 10.7 millimeter DC plug. So that's what you'll be looking for, is 5.5, 2.5, 10.7. And actually it was really nice. So it actually has light on here as a brand. You also see light on for a different size. So I was curious if this M7 fit, but that M7 has a narrower inside, which doesn't fit around the rather large center pin in the hole there. So you definitely want an M5 connector that is these dimensions. And like I said, this was the only one at my local micro center here in Detroit that had this size. All the other brands and whatnot, none of them fit. They were either too small, if they were the right width, they were too small on the inside, or vice versa. So I'll put a link down below to this specific power supply if it ends up working, as I haven't actually plugged it in yet, but it should meet the requirements. It is that 90 watt, so that's equivalent to what was there, which should put us right at the 80% rule. It does have the right connector, and it has the right voltages. Again, that is important. There are power supplies out there that don't give you that 18 to 20 volt range. So for example, the iPolos are 12 volts, so those will not work. I guess I just got lucky that my ASUS laptop computer, which is kind of funny because it doesn't even say it on here as a brand, but my ASUS had an M5 connector, which is how I knew that the PSU was the problem. So we're gonna get this plugged in, and hopefully this PSU actually works, because I really don't want to go back to the store again. But yeah, I'll put a link down below if this guy ends up working as I get further in this video. Alright, so we're about ready here. Got my Ethernet plugged back in. I did want to quickly mention, sorry, I had never heard of this specific model name, but this is a Thermaltake PSU. So we got our watt meter over here on the wall. Got our new PSU here. Plug this guy in over here. All right, we're gonna hope that over here, this nice blue one, is gonna do the job. So moment of truth here. All right, look at that, the light turned on. Awesome, we are in business, hopefully. So it does say after about a minute, one of these should start blinking. I'll have to read the instructions. So we'll jump back once that has transpired. All right, so that green light here has started blinking. So it looks like we are in business, and I should be able to find this on the computer. So we're gonna actually jump over to the computer for a moment and see if we can bring up the GUI for this. All right, got this pulled up on the computer now. I did want to quickly just say one last thing about the PSU, since I had to do this PSU swap, because I think it could be a little confusing on their website. So on their website here, it talks about the voltages required, and it says with PSU 100 to 240 volt alternating current, and without PSU you need 19 to 20 volt direct current. I think this is, I understand what they're saying, but I think it's a little confusing how they worded with or without. So what they're saying is if your unit came with a PSU, not if you're going to use a PSU, you have to use a PSU. But if your order came with it, which is only the first batch, then your PSU will require 100 to 240 volt alternating current as the input. Now, when it says without PSU, that is essentially telling you if you got a unit that doesn't have a PSU, you need to find a PSU that can output 19 to 20 volts of direct current. I'm surprised it doesn't say the wattage requirements in here, but I guess you can kind of figure that out by the fact it has 65 watts up here. But generally, you'll want at least that 80% rule, so at least in 90 watt power supply, considering this is a 65 watt unit. So just wanted to clarify that if you're on here and confused by what this nomenclature of with or without is, meaning it's just purely if you got a unit with or without a PSU, they're telling you what the input has to be either into the PSU you received or into or out of the PSU if you didn't receive a PSU. So, but I did find it on my ASUS router that I have at my home. It is all in Chinese, so I'll have to follow the instructions a little bit, which also I did skip a step in the instructions. So it does say they have their own tool to find the IP. I didn't bother with that. My ASUS router, it sends me a notification the second a new device connects, so I easily could find the IP myself without downloading their tool. But if you don't have a router that has that capability or don't know how to get into your router, you can use their tool to find that IP. I believe Greater Good Mining had a video on that, so if you want to go over there, I'll put a link down below. Alright, so like I said, I'm in my machine, so it looks like the default username and password is admin and 1234567 So we'll type that in and see what happens. So we're now in the GUI, still all in Chinese, so I gotta figure out where the turn to English is. So let's see what it says here. It says language switch. It looks like it's this upper left corner, so we're gonna try that out right here. English, perfect. All right, there we go. So all in English. So far this is pretty typical for an ASIC device. Maybe a little cleaner. It is pretty nicely laid out, a nice looking GUI. So can't complain. This has been ramping up, so it's probably mining to whatever they were using for their testing. So we'll have to change all that out, but it does appear to be going. So it does appear to be operating. So I'm not going to bore you guys with inputting all this information. Greater Good Mining did a great video on all this setup, so I'll just put a link down below. But I actually want to talk about something a little different because there's been a lot of news coming out of IceRiver today. So if we hop on over to their website, you will notice that as of today, their prices on everything have dropped significantly for the KS0, KS1, and the KS2. They also now have a PSU for the KS0 available to buy as well, because like I said, future units after that first batch don't come with PSUs. Ironically, mine was broken to start with, so I do have to reach out to them. But I think that's a good segue, because what I really want to talk about is their customer service. And honestly, it has been phenomenal so far. Again, we'll see what happens with this PSU. But they've always been very responsive to my communications. We were all very skeptical at first. It was a lot of money to drop, especially before these reduced prices. But they've always been very communicative. They had an AMA session on the Caspa Discord, so that was really cool. And then even I constantly weekly just ask for updates. Always were very prompt to respond to anything, whether it's through Discord or email. And honestly, they're doing something now that I wish other manufacturers would do. And maybe it's just because they're the new kid on the block and they want to get, people to stick with them and continue to buy from them. But honestly, it's what you should do because it's the right thing to do. So yes, all these prices have come down, and I assume that's largely because of the future release of the Bitmain devices, but also even their better miners. So there was a point on their website where the KS2 cost more than the KS3L, which didn't really make any sense. So I think they realized that with all of these ASICs coming online that they really needed to reduce their prices. But normally with any other manufacturer, and this has happened to me so many times at this point, they do not in any way compensate those who bought the product before the price decrease. I mean, I have been screwed over by Bitmain, Goldshell so many times, especially Goldshell. Goldshell, especially mainly because I buy more of the mini miners. I don't quite have the capital to buy all these, super expensive giant ASIC devices currently. But Goldshell, there were so many times where I bought either a mini Doge or a KD Lite or a KD Box Pro or any of those other little box miners, and sure enough, in the next month it would drop in price. There was even one time where I bought a KD Lite and like the next day it dropped in price, and I reached out to them and I got crickets. Like, I mean, they responded, but like all they would say is we can't give you a refund. And I was like, well, what about a coupon code for a future purchase? Like, I'm gonna keep buying stuff, and it was like, no. And you just kind of get this run around with pretty much any of them. So, but IceRiver did it how I think you should do, which is actually, reward those who have bought from you from the past. And so if I go into my account section over here, and these coupon codes are restricted to my account, and I have already used them, as you can see. But they provided discount codes for the two KS0s I bought before the discounted price. So, which is quite amazing. And they're not small either. So, talking with them, essentially I got these two, and they're for different reasons. So the 400 refund is for the original one, which I just got from that first batch. It doesn't, now with that reduction, it doesn't quite bring it down to, the current prices, but the idea is that I have this before most people and therefore will ROI. Whereas the one I just recently purchased, so after Greater Good Mining got his in the mail, I was like, you know what? These things are clearly real. Have a little more cash. Let's get one more. So I bought this sometime last week. I don't remember exactly what day. And this morning, waking up to like, wow, if I waited like 5 more days, I could have saved $700 because it was $16.99 when I bought it, and now it's $9.99. But they refunded me the difference through a coupon. I mean, it's not a refund, I guess, but I quickly turned around and bought 2 more because, I mean, one of them was almost free essentially with the $700 discount coupon that I got, and the other one's like half off. So, but honestly, I give them a lot of props. IceRiver, if you're watching this, like, thank you. Us miners really appreciate it, and we hope that not only you continue to do this if there are further price decreases, but that other manufacturers learn from your customer service. It has been great so far, and hopefully it's pretty simple to get this replacement PSU. Yeah, so we're gonna actually jump back out of the computer. I really want to try this whole fan thing, so we're gonna put the computer aside. I'll set up the mining pool and stuff in the background, and once I've done that, we will see how this fan attachment through USB works on this device, and hopefully it goes pretty smoothly. All right, so we are back, not in the computer, and we're gonna see what putting on this fan does. So a couple things I want to see here. First is, do these temperatures actually drop? So you can see right now that I am seeing 41 and 46 degrees, which is a little warmer than everyone else that has fans on it is doing. So we're definitely going to want to add those fans. You can also see our current wattage is about 69 we're holding. while we're mining. So I'm curious what adding this USB fan is going to add. So in theory, so the USB standard is 5 volt power, so all USB can provide 5 volt power, and about 0.5 amps, so that's about 3 watts. So I do have a 5 volt fan that pulls 0.58 amps for 3 watts. It does actually say that if I go on to their instructions as well, so external fan not more than 5 volts at 0.5 amps for cooling via USB port, which is what we're trying to do here. So I am curious how much it will up the power consumption. See if we see those 3 watts increase and see about 72 watts on the meter. So I'm gonna get this fan installed, and like I said, I think I'm gonna do the sucking away. I can actually feel the heat coming up and out from those fans underneath. So I'm gonna try that since other YouTubers have put it facing down, and maybe we can compare and see what works best. So I'm gonna put it facing up and we'll be right back. So we got our fan screwed down. So moment of truth here. Plug this in. Hope for the best here. Alright, and the fan is on. And definitely sucking air away, so that's good. I also want to point out this new PSU I got is not warm to the touch. So link down below. This PSU is working great. It's been mining fine for now. And this PSU stays nice and cool. So if you need a PSU replacement, I highly recommend this guy. And link down below. But yeah, here we go with this fan. I feel it blasting nice warm air up, so it seems to be doing its thing. And we'll see if we see any drop in temperature on the screen. So looks like we've already dropped about 1 degree on one, so we'll give it a few minutes and check back in. I do want to point out that we have increased our wattage by only about not quite 2 watts. So fan seems to be doing fine. It did increase that a little bit, but not more than expected. So we'll let this run and see how it goes. So it's been about 15 minutes now, and this fan solution, especially shooting the air up away from the unit, seems to be doing really great. I mean, we've seen about a 7 degree drop in temperature since before I put the fan on. It was originally at 41, and this guy was at 46, so it's come down 6 degrees Celsius, which is really phenomenal for this tiny little cheap USB fan. And honestly, the best part about this is not only is this fan totally silent for the most part, but being a USB fan, it can only pull a maximum of 3 watts, and it's not even pulling that. Right now, on our watt meter, we are, gotta cycle through here, we are at 70.8. We were at 69 without the fan attached. So we are only using 1.8 watts to drastically cool this machine. So I'm just gonna say now, I think the USB fan is the way to go. I mean, I've seen, Greater Good Mining and a few others use some external fans, but those all tend to use at least 10 watts. This little thing is using all of 1.8 watts right now, and honestly, those are phenomenal temperatures. These are lower than most of what I've seen from the other tubers. I don't know how much of this is because of the direction, but either way, the fact that 1.8 watts is cooling adequately this unit is phenomenal. So, highly recommend this fan, which I will put a link down below for any of you that have the KS0. Definitely highly recommend this. I got 2. I'm going to be ordering more because I got 4 KS0s, 3 on the way. So, really excited to get these up and running. It's been running great. Over on the pool side, we're almost up to that 100 gigahash mark, so we'll get there. It's just working really well, and look at those temps. It has been holding steady at 34 for a good 10 to 15 minutes now. So I think we've leveled off to where it's going to be And it's just doing great. I could not be happier with this little USB fan. So I think this is how I'm gonna do it for all 4 of them. So, and again, this PSU still not even warm to the touch, nice and cool. So link for this guy down below as well. If you ever need a PSU replacement, I'll let you guys know how my customer service experience goes. But like I said prior in this video, so far it's been really good. So I'm hoping that it stays that way when it comes to the PSU. This wasn't that expensive, but you know, I shouldn't have had to pay for it. So hopefully, who knows, maybe they'll give me another discount code and then I'll end up with another KS0. Who knows? But link down below for that as well. So I think that's it for today. We're just gonna let this guy go. We'll come back for an update on earnings and see if it stays cool. But yeah, for now, I think that's about it. Get this fan. This fan shooting up, seems to be doing great. And if you need a PSU, this is the one you'll want. Right here, works phenomenally. So that's about it for today. Still hovering at 71. Until next time.